Hello everyone, welcome back. So now we're going to do a scatter plots. But before I start, just want to point you to something. On my last video, I had changed my box plots at one point and I had the wrong subtitle. So I corrected that so that when you see it on my GitHub, it's going to have this subtitle. All right, let's move on and let's do some scatter plots. So the first thing we need to know about scatter plots is that they are for numeric measurements. So the y-axis and the x-axis and the y-axis, the horizontal and vertical, are going to be numeric. So let's use the same data set that we've been using, and let's do some scatter plots. We will do a little bit of a fancy type because we're going to add a regression line. So this is your start to the data analytics because it is one of the first types of algorithms that you will see in machine learning later on. Later on, we'll do some of that in our advanced section. But for now, and that's going to be outside of the course, I'm going to do that some extracurricular for those of you who want to join and watch these additional videos. I'll be adding machine learning. But for now, let's just plot it. Let's just visualize it. So I'm going to do a scatter plot. And similarly, right, we're following this grammar of graphics. And we begin by identifying the data. Let me get a pencil here. The data that we are going to plot is my data frame DF, the same data frame that I used before, which is filtered for the three major airlines, American, United, and Delta. For the three airports, the big airports in the New York City area, the three big ones, which are Newark, New Jersey, JFK, and LaGuardia. Right, and the other thing that we will do here in our scatter plot, there is the scatter plot, we identify the data and the coordinates of what we are going to plot. All right. There is another aspect, and if we go back to the grammar of graphics, where we try to color our data to give it some impression when we see it with our own human eyes, right, is the hue. You've seen the hue already, but I'm going to point it out to you because when we do this scatter plot, we're going to see dots of the data points based on distance and airtime. And with the hue, I will be able to change the color of the dot, and the color will depend on whether it is United Airlines, American Airlines, United Airlines, or Delta Airlines. So that is the carrier, right? So that's an interesting new thing, or it's not new. We've seen it, but I didn't point it out like this. It's called the hue. All right. Then there is another method in Seaborn, SNS. Remember, SNS is for Seaborn, which is called regplot, is for the regression line. It adds a regression line. Then we add a few more things to our plot, title, labels, and we limit the size of the plot. Those are the things that you will be playing with, changing. Just remember how I use them, and you can use similarly. You don't need them. They're not necessary to create the plot, but it adds value. And sometimes you actually need them because otherwise the plot may just be charts and plots and dots without an explanation of what it is. So this helps you explain what we're looking at. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot it. And there you go. So just like that. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So distance, notice that it's got a funny look, but it has to do with the type of data that we have. It's kind of like the distances are in groups, they come up like this, as if they were grouped. It's sort of like they go to the same cities. When you leave from, say, from New York City to Chicago, there will be multiple flights, but they're always going to have the same distance. So I don't know, let's say Chicago will be this one, and then you will have all of those dots lined up. That's for distance. The airtime does vary, and it may have something to do with the weather conditions, winds, time of the flight, and so forth. Anyway, but that's what it looks like. We added, and we told it to add a regression line, which is this right here. That is your regression line. It's a straight line. It's a straight line that tries to follow the data, the pattern of the data. Let's do another plot. This time we're going to use a logarithmic scale, right? So it is the same as we did above, but this time we are going to use a logarithmic scale. So, and that is in our axis. First, let's take a look at it so you can see it. That took a little while. So here in your axis, you have a logarithmic scale. So every time we go from one to the next is 10 times more. So 10 to the 2 goes up to the 10 to the 3, goes up to the 10 to the 4. The same thing with the y-axis. And the y-axis, we have it right here. We go from 10 to the 1 to 10 to the 2 to 10 to the 3. So it is logarithmic. And notice it's strange that when it plotted, there is a little curvature in there. You can see that. So I show this because sometimes we want to do it this way, but again, it's just a choice. So you can see how it is done. So now if we go back to the command that decide to do the scale, is right here, right? So it's another method. It's a PLT method. So a PLT, and remember PLT is from Matplotlib. As you can see, as I mentioned before, we are interworking Seaborn and Matplotlib in creating our charts. So that's it. Those are the two scatter plots that I wanted to show you. When we come back, we're going to talk about bar plots. So it's going to be exciting, and I'll talk to you in a few seconds. Bye-bye for now.